Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at this book. So this is nonfiction. Occasionally I cover these. So this is Amazing Inventions. This is a series, Inventing Vaccines by Matt Lilley. So this is a really simple book that explains the very basics of vaccines and what they do and kind of their basic history. This was created in about 2022. This is a relatively new book. So because it does mention COVID. That's how I know this is a relatively new book. It is very simple and it is very easy to read and to explain to children why we get vaccines and why it's important. It talks a little bit about how a lot of people died, like polio. The polio vaccine saved thousands of people. It's now very, very rare. Unfortunately, though, obviously this book does not get into it. People, crazy people, think they're poison and are been told weird lies about these things. Because unfortunately, vaccines have worked too well, so people don't remember how bad these things were. Polio was very, very bad. Polio was very, very bad. People die, people pretty much end up in iron lungs for the rest of their lives, which means they can't really move around. They're disabled. It sucks, and it mainly affects children. And yeah, it spreads through fecal matter. And people who have small children realize how even little kids, you're not scrubbing your hands as cleanly as you should. And that's really kind of how this unfortunately spreads. It's also in the water supply. So yeah, there's that. But it talks about polio, it talks about smallpox, which has been eliminated. As of this is being shot the 1st of November of 2022. We do have monkeypox going on, which is a similar strain, though it's pretty active in Africa for a while. It's spreading to the modern world, and now we're paying attention. One of those things. Unless it's happening to the industrialized nations, we're not going to pay attention because we're the wealthy ones. But monkeypox it's not as dangerous. And again, I'm not an expert on this, and this is still going on, but it's similar to smallpox. So in this case, smallpox vaccines, which are not given to my generation or my daughters, they're not really given out. They stopped in the 70s because they eliminated smallpox. We were very, very close to eliminating measles. And then a moron who wanted money. Let's be clear, he wanted bloody money. Destroyed it all because he was crazy and he wanted money and greedy. And he continues to talk around it because he's crazy. And no, he doesn't have a medical license. Back to this book. I'm ranting. But it does do a basic, really basic understanding of what it is. It starts off with talking about the flu shot. As you can see, there are limited words in here. It's very simple. They're very large. A little girl who's get cleaned, and they talk about different things about getting your flu shot, and it made her immune. It talks about a little bit about the history of vaccines. People Africa and Asia started putting little bits of smallpox vaccines in wounds to help people become immune. It wasn't foolproof. Sometimes it made us sick, but it worked somewhat. And then Dr. Edward Jenner did this with cowpox to do the same thing, which is a similar disease to smallpox. And yes, I think he started it on himself and his family, but this worked. But at that time, we still didn't understand germs. So then they bring in talking about Louis Pasteur, and he discovered germs, and he used this idea to create several different vaccines. So here they talk about polio, and you talk about Dr. Jonas Salk, who I believe I'm covering him again. I've done children's books on him already because I believe he was Jewish, so I covered Jewish American history. So he got in there. So I have a children's book. I'm doing a more advanced book this year. But he was the one who created the polio vaccine. And then, of course, we have vaccines for measles, mumps, and rubella, also known as German measles. So this is also, it's acronym of the MMR. Because these children it used to kill people. Seriously. It used to kill people. I think I mentioned this in some of my Roald Dahl videos. his daughter died of measles. So it killed people. And then it talks about how vaccines work. It gives you antibodies. That's how our immune system works. We have antibodies that fight disease, and the immune system basically trains, and the vaccines train our immune system without making us sick. Mostly, sometimes we all have a little bit of reaction, a little fever, feeling crappy, but nothing like the actual disease itself. And because that's our body reacting. Most vaccines are given in shots, some are given in oral. There is an oral polio vaccine. Trying to think. My daughter got a couple of oral. I think it's RSV. I'm not quite sure. That's given as an oral vaccine. So, and of course it talks about sometimes you have to get one once, sometimes you have to get multiple, like our flu vaccine, because there are different variants. COVID-19 is similar. As of this moment, I've had 4. In fact, as of the shooting of this video, me and my husband just got our second COVID booster. So, and my daughter got her first COVID shots back in July, the moment they came out. So, and then we had our flu vaccines about a week or so at the end of October. So again, yeah, it talks about herd immunity. So it kind of does an explanation of that, of how that works, because there are certain people like babies, children, if you're not aware of this, do not get their first flu shot until they're 6 months, and they have to get 2. My daughter's got one at the beginning of October. That's where she got her not her first, obviously. She's 3. So this is like her 4th flu shot. My mother nearly died of it this past summer, so we are kind of paranoid. And yes, my mother had gotten the flu shot, but it was a different strain. And she's in her 60s and not in the best of health. But yeah, so we're kind of paranoid about vaccines. Moving on. So, and then it talks about vaccines saving lives. Children used to get polio. There's no polio in most places. It does talk about how poor countries can't necessarily afford vaccines, and people are working on to make it better. They also can't afford to keep vaccines cold, like the COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine has to be cold. So they're trying to make things cheaper. And this talks about the COVID vaccine. By 2021, there were several available. The germs mutated. COVID did this. It is a coronavirus. If you're not familiar with this, it's a form of a cold virus. So it's going to mutate. It's just kind of what it's going to do. They're working on it. So we have to get COVID boosters. We have to get flu vaccines every year, though they are working on that too. And then of course, this is an educational book, so it tells you, particularly for homeschoolers, this is a great thing. Kind of gets you questions and reading and stuff that you can do. So, and it has an answer key. So this is a really good elementary book to talk about the basics of vaccines and their history. So this is definitely early elementary is what we're doing here. I don't think it's late elementary. It's too easily to be read. Definitely going to say it's early elementary or people who are having trouble reading. Sorry, it's almost 8 o'clock and I have a 3-year-old and it's the day after Halloween. And we had our first trick-or-treating this year. Oh, that is so much fun. Both good and bad ways. Because 3-year-olds and candy, and we're learning that. New parents. So, this is a really, really good book. As you're hearing me periodically ranting, I am very, very pro-vaccine. As essentially I have my 3rd COVID vaccine, despite the fact that the last booster made me sick. This is a different version. We did the Pfizer, now we did the Moderna. My daughter got the Moderna. Not gonna hide that. She was fine. And yeah, so we're kind of, and again, my mother nearly died this past summer of 2022 of the flu after going on a family cruise. So we're pretty paranoid about vaccines in this household. And I, in fact, wouldn't have flown with my daughter until she had her MMR and her varicella. If you're not aware of varicella, chickenpox. I don't want my kid to suffer. Thank you. My mother had the mumps. She had the measles. It sucked. I had an aunt who I think lost the hearing in one of her ears, my great aunt, due to measles. Yeah, we're not playing with those things. I do not play with disease in my home. So, we are vaccinated. Technically, our animals are vaccinated, but they stay in stay inside. This also talks about the rabies vaccine, oddly enough, which, yes, does exist. Yes, rabies still does exist. Please stay away from ground squirrels, though that's more plague. No, there's no vaccine against the bubonic plague. That's a bacteria. Vaccines protect pretty much against viruses, not bacteria. Moving on. So, if you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I mostly do fiction. It's just I'm covering, I think, vaccines this month, along with probably other things. I do a lot of 2023, which is when you guys are going to see this. It's a big series month, or a big series year. I'm pretty much covering series throughout the year. I'll probably continue that into 2023. A variety of ages from up middle school and down. This is an elementary school level book, early elementary age. As homeschoolers, I know nobody knows who their grades are half the time, but you get the gist of it. And again, you know your kids. This is a really easy, very simple, basic read. I do more advanced stuff. I think I have a more advanced immune book here. I have another child book there as well. Yes, I have a pile of books that I'm working on, as well as I cover films, I cover nonfiction stuff. I have some documentaries sitting over here. I'm covering all sorts of stuff, as well as some more games and some more educational stuff, some travel stuff. That comes usually on Wednesdays. The books come Mondays, my films come Wednesdays, or come Fridays. And now, yes, I'm extremely consistent on that. So I also have a wide variety of stuff that's already available. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the rest of my channel. Leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.